On every continent, we are seeing democratic backsliding. On every continent, emboldened autocrats are ramping up repression, they're targeting minority groups, they're often flouting international law. Just as disturbing, within democracies, populist appeals grounded in fear and bigotry and resentment have elevated leaders who, once they're in office, have sought to systematically undermine democratic institutions and entrench themselves in power. In my own country, the forces that unleashed mob violence on our capital are still churning out misinformation and conspiracy theories. For those of us who fervently believe in the ideals of democracy, the question is, how do we respond? And if nothing else, recent events should shake us out of complacency. If we want democracy to flourish, we will have to fight for it. We will have to nurture it. We will have to demonstrate its value again and again in improving the lives of ordinary people. And we will also have to be willing to look squarely at the shortcomings of our own democracies. Not the ideal, but the reality of our own democracies. Only then will we be able to develop a better story of what democracy can be and must be in this rapidly changing world. For us to win what is a contest of ideas between those of us who believe in democracy and those who are convinced that older ways of doing business are better. In that contest of ideas, it won't be enough to just say what we are against. We have to describe clearly what we are for. It won't be enough to reaffirm a creaky status quo, to just put a new coat of paint on the existing order. Because the fact is that order has been shaken at its foundations by globalization and financial crisis and social media, by rising inequality and mass migration and climate change and a multipolar world. If we are going to fortify democracy, if democracy is going to thrive and not just survive in a few pockets on the map, we are going to have to rebuild our democracies and their institutions so they work better for more people, for this new age. When the gap between rich and poor widens further and further, then fellow citizens share fewer experiences. The rich people are behind a gate somewhere and the poor people are outside, and their kids aren't going to school together and they're not feeling invested in each other. Well, people feel fewer obligations and social trust declines. And in the absence of solidarity, people are more likely to turn to populist appeals from strongmen who offer somebody to blame, whether it's immigrants or minorities or foreign powers or shadowy elites or opposition parties or even democracy itself. So my point is, a big part of strengthening democracy is not just about politics and policy, it is about culture. And we have to embrace that. We have to expand the civic education we provide our children and give them practice to live in a democracy. We have to create organizations that give them experience in working with people who are different and exercise their civic muscles. We need to create platforms that encourage a willingness that nudge people and incentivize people to extend good faith to those who are not like themselves or don't think like themselves. A politics that is inclusive rather than exclusive.